Okay, we're back. I'm Sly.
I'm Spook.
I'm the chief.
And we have just finished watching episode 8 of Star Trek Discovery. I would recite the title, but I looked it up and it is too difficult to pronounce. Okay, so what did we think of Star Trek episode 8?
Why were they on the planet?
Pizza or something. Chief, your thoughts?
I thought it was...
You are an apologist. Aren't you?
This one I'm going to be an apologist. This was a lot more like a normal, what I would consider a Star Trek episode. Other than the Klingons, who are just fucking shit and I can't... Every time they're in the episode, they're just crap.
Where's the
Yuck, duck, duck, back. Where's the yuck, duck, duck, back? Oh, it's just crap. It just slows everything down. It's just rubbish.
And that's actually a really good point. If
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe
anyway.
they're speaking English and they've just slowed it down to like
it's
an
really,
eighth the
it's
speed.
a really good point if you look at the qualification of form is function. The Klingons should be brutal and confrontational, and the language in every other Star Trek, other than this one, that's the way they come across. It's always desperate and urgent and passionate. In this one, it's just boring and monotone.
They've got no emotion. They're not going at it.
There's a scene here where Cole. I'm sure.
Cole.
I think it's short for Colin. Anyway, Cole. Yeah.
General Cole.
And he's talking to Scarface. I don't even know her name.
The chick.
8 episodes in, 9 episodes.
Two-Face.
Yep. And he picks up a deceit, and that should be a really powerful thing. But it was like the whole scene was.
Yeah, he should just slap the one or whatever. But
it's just the language.
There's no emotion.
There was no,
no inflection.
passion.
There's no emotion in it.
And all right, let's break this episode down into 19 parts. The first part,
2 parts in essence.
yeah, okay, 2 parts. Let's break it into 3 parts first. Okay, they pick up. The first part is on the Klingon ship of dead. Fuck, who came up with that? You're an idiot, Kurtzman. You are an idiot. Anyway, so on the ship of the dead, where Admiral someone, she is being interrogated by the Klingons.
Two-Face.
And it's no coincidence this is the Klingon who was with Vok, who's the other Klingon who was the disciple of
Who's Vok?
Tsuzuma. No, the other guy, the guy.
Albino.
Super Vok.
Yeah, from previous.
Ultra Vok.
Okay, so that's part of the episode. Now, if you just break into this part of... You'd think that the moment she was abducted by the Klingons, there'd be urgency about this storyline. But we've got to get this Admiral back. We can't afford to have this Admiral in the hands of the Klingons. She knows stuff. She'll break, blah, blah, blah. All that sort of shit. But, of course, we had the time episode between these two. So, apparently, there was no...
That only went for half an hour, that episode, remember?
Oh, yeah. Maybe mud time.
It felt like...
But there was no urgency. And there's no urgency. And again, there's no urgency in relation to rescuing her here because her storyline is totally separated. They're not trying to rescue her or anything. It's just we're seeing that as an aside.
Is that why they were on the planet?
Yeah. But then we get stuff like...
Pandora.
I won't say this is the stupidest scene in Discovery yet, but it's quite possibly the stupidest scene in Discovery yet.
For the next few episodes.
It's like... the Admiral...
Don't go too early.
No, it's too late. That ship sailed and crashed, and then they ate the captain's head. But the Admiral is talking with the Scarface and Scarface. I don't know where this has come from, but this is Kurtzman. And she says, "I wish to defect." Where does this come from? Up to this point, you've seen no uncertainty about this Klingon. She's had a loyalty to Vok, the albino Klingon, the one that's been left floating on the Shinzu. Pity he doesn't have a telescope to, kill his time. But she's shown no uncertainty. And just out of nowhere, she comes out with...
And last time we saw her, she was...
she had her face singed off.
She was torturing, the
captain.
Lorca and...
She was flashing a flashlight in his eyes. How do you like that?
There are 3 lights.
I'm flicking that switch. It's on and off.
But where does this come from? I mean, you have not built this up at all. And I'll tell you, the Klingon part of the episode was really bad, extremely bad. Kurtzman bad. It was so bad that, and I'm sorry, but, Kurtzman is Klingon for. Anyway, well, how does it work that she decides to defect? And then the whole plan is, let me just walk casually through the hallways of this Klingon ship with this admiral, pausing to have long conversations. And then the Klingon, whatever, Admiral Cole, he pops out. Where are you going with her? And then they look at each other, Scarface and Admiral No Name, and they sort of like go, ooh.
We better fight.
Yeah. And they fight. And then after Scarface beats up the Admiral, she turns to Cole and says...
Kills.
Oh, she was trying to escape.
Kills, not beats. Kills the Admiral.
No, she'll be alive. But, you know, and it says...
You think she's dead.
She's like... And she goes, oh, she was trying to escape. Where in that scene would have Cole looked at her and said... Yeah, she was trying to escape. She looked desperately like she was... And obviously Cole picks up the deceit later. But who is stupid enough to believe this subterfuge? And then Cole says, get rid of the body. And...
I thought she said that.
Oh, who cares? I don't really care at this
Cole
point.
was just dumb like everyone else watching this show.
Yeah. And...
No offense to the audience.
The Scarface, she drags the Admiral, I don't know, to the room of corpses, I guess it is. Hang on, let me just...
The writing room.
Yes. Let me just pause here, though. She's the interrogator on this ship. I get the feeling she's probably killed a few people, but she's never seen this room before. And she goes into this room and she sees all these Klingons she knows.
Yeah, but no, she said she knows the ship like
She
the back
knows
of her
the
hand,
ship.
except for this room.
Except for this room. And she sees this Klingon, and there's this desperately remorseful scene where she goes, oh, Bob, Kevin, Ivan, I will avenge you all! It's just like...
I will cut you off and say I really did mourn their losses. Those characters I've never seen before. Or
I could have, yeah.
Fuck they were. But I felt their pain. I was touched emotionally and spiritually deep inside. I just wanted to yell at the TV. Kumbaya, my lord.
So that touches space in you. So
a space in my heart. Oh.
So what happens next? She is anointed by Cole, and then immediately he fucking recognizes, oh, you're...
Gets dragged off to get killed somewhere
Yeah.
along the line.
Okay.
I think that was a ruse.
It's like, what was the point of the anointment? You need to have a point if you're going to actually, you know, do a scene like that where you're going to go, oh no, I'll give her a sense of confidence. No, I won't! Oh, fucking arrest her right now! Drag... And it's like, what's the point of that?
I just want to make another point.
What were they on the planet for?
Before we press the record button, you two said this was a good episode.
No, wait. Let's
Chief
go back.
loved it. Chief loved
I said this is a good episode, but except when the Klingons were in it. And then I just started swearing a bit.
No. When you say I
and all the rest of it.
I said it was the best of these episodes. That's a good episode. Maybe did. I don't know. Some Kurtzman might have got me. But that whole Klingon side was absolutely appalling. It was not.
When's it not appalling? No, the Klingons.
All right,
The Klingons are bad. The whole thing. The Klingons are bad. The whole
more.
season. Oh, it's just terrible. Slows everything down. It just can't be stuffed. You fall asleep by the time they get to the second sentence.
And
then you got to read. It's just rubbish.
and
rubbish.
The makeup on them just
It's
makes them
killed-
all look terrible.
Yeah, it's killed them.
It's killed them. You know.
Yeah, it's just it's
You can't let
it's
anything-
nullified them.
It's not even nullified him. It's turned him into something else.
Well, they got no facial expressions anymore. It's the same expression. One's got angry expression. One's got bewildered expression. One's got.
Prosthetic face.
But it's just saying
expression.
it's one. Yeah.
It's not if it's moulded around their
nothing.
face.
You can't do anything with it.
It's like going to your nearest shop and having an argument with a mannequin.
It actually reminds
Oh,
me.
hang on, you're angry at me now, aren't you? I can see it in your face.
No, that's him over there. He's got the angry face.
It's actually, they're no longer Klingons, they're Smurfs. They all have the same sort of vestige, and it's just like you just throw an adjective in front of him. Cole is unhappy Smurf.
She's Scar Smurf.
Vok is disappointed Smurf. So, it's just really bad. Alright, so we're going to get off to Klingons at some point. I don't know.
Thank fuck.
I don't know what the Klingons are doing. And we get the second part of the storyline, which is Burnham, Tyler, Steve Tyler
Hutch,
from Aerosmith, and Saru.
So why were they on the planet?
And they're on the planet to tap into some array.
They were seeing a
What
Na'vi.
array?
That's what they were doing.
What array?
They're going to see the Na'vi.
There was some magic crystals.
I thought the part. Oh, sorry. No,
Hey, were they time crystals?
It's a big time crystal.
So there was some magic crystals in the shape of a Christmas tree, and
a phallus.
you can,
Fallacy.
from what I gather, you can take any form of Federation technology and touch a crystal and you communicate through it.
Yeah.
There's no interfacing or anything like that. And the magic crystals then sent a signal into space so you can see cloaked Klingon ships. Did I get that? Is that what it is?
The whole thing,
No shit.
from what the techno babble was all about, the magic crystal was meant to. They were meant to be able to modify the magic crystal signal so that they could actually identify a cloaked ship. That was the whole thing. That was what they were on the planet for.
So everything in Star Trek Discovery requires some form of organics to drive
It looks like
Alien
it.
organics.
this war.
Yeah.
So the spoof drive needs space whales and mushrooms, and to beat the Klingons now we need magic crystals on a planet.
Yeah. Oh, to see.
Well,
it.
considering in Deep Space Nine and Next Gen era they can't identify a Klingon ship, this is an easy way to do it. After about 4 days of this war, they can find a way to get a bird of prey and to identify a bird of prey. But
Yeah,
So is that
those
assuming
things.
though that from the whole war now is we drag all the Klingons to this planet so we can see them? But we can't see them to drag them here.
No, that's the planet's doing that now.
The planet now can, like, it's just like the spoof drive. It can the whole known universe. Is
It was summoning it. It was summoning it through a signal. Can I just sort of backstep? In the previous episode, Hannibal Mud one, it opened with I don't know, close to a montage, no music, but it opened with a montage of Michael Burnham talking about the war and talking about how Discovery was such a potent weapon in the war and it was turning the tide of the war. And apparently now they need to actually, hang on, wait, we've got to actually go work out how we're going to see these cloaked Klingons. This is, again, something we've talked about in one of the previous episodes. There's so much shit that happens off the page in this series, in the scale of the war. We don't actually get to see the Discovery turning the tide of war. We saw like a couple of scenes where they maybe did it, where they had a fight, but there was
I'd like
nothing.
to see some element of this war.
They just rushed it. They just keep rushing every
Is there any
episode.
planets? Is there any planets being threatened? Systems being
We
down?
don't see any element of the Klingons' cloaking technologies in the war. In terms of the time,
Is it winning them a war? Do we know that?
it's boring them a war. In terms of the planet, I thought the Michael Burnham, Saru, Tyler storyline was probably the Star Trekiest thing they've done in, what are we up to now, about 320, 330 minutes of this travesty. I thought that was really good how they sort of had something they didn't understand. They went down and explored it. Obviously, it turns to shit in Trek way. I thought that was sort of cool. And I actually sort of realised, as it was going, I was thinking, it's working here. None of the rest of the crew involved. That was really good. It was just very self-contained. It felt very Trekky. Obviously, they were going to ruin it. They fast-tracked it. Saru bloody melded it.
He rooted it.
He melded with something. And again, this is driving a lot of storylines here. If it's not Saru melding with something, it's Stamets melding with the technology.
I think he's melded with the Doctor a few times.
And it's Burnham melding with Sarek to drive the story. It's just to get something happening. They meld with something, which is going to be
That drives the story.
Yeah,
that's how they get
which
the
doesn't
information.
which doesn't need explanation, like a time crystal. And it really got to, like, I thought it started all had a bit of mystique. I thought the visuals were really nice, but then it got really dumb very quickly. Saru just immediately started melding with this planet, like, I love it here, and then it's really actually funny. It's extremely funny that Burnham and Tyler spend 12 seconds with Saru and go, geez, I think he's been compromised. But they spent the whole 2 episodes with Stamets, and no one's actually gone, geez, he's acting a little bit peculiar, isn't he? But they picked it up with Saru.
He's just a quirky, fun-loving guy. He's out there looking in the mirror, and the mirror looks back, and then he walks away, and he's still there.
They never did
Never
it.
gone back.
That sort of guy.
But actually, while you're on that, sorry, we just move on. The Stamets storyline, in television storytelling, you generally have three storylines. You have the A storyline, the B storyline, the C storyline. The A storyline is obviously most important. The B is mid-range. The C is the least important. So in this one, it would have been A was Burnham and that's, B was the Klingons, C was the Stamets storyline where he talked about not knowing what the fuck he was doing anymore. That was paid attention to for about 12 minutes of the episode, and then it just disappeared.
Oh, they're obviously going to pick it up somewhere else along the line.
No, but I mean,
they just wanted to.
But if you're going to do,
Yeah, we keep bagging them about not setting things up. At least they've set something up.
no, but they've set it up. But
you got to follow it through.
You got to follow.
Yeah, well, you
got to keep
I
touching.
live in hope.
And I'm tipping that's a conversation in isolation.
But you got to keep touching on it, And it's like you got to keep looking at
There's a
it.
bit of touching going on with Stamets.
But you got to actually sort of come back to things and pick it up. It's like the previous episode. The Doctor showed up in the first 10 minutes. He just disappeared. They seem to be introducing stuff where they're foreshadowing. Okay, we're going to explore this, but then they just leave it. And this episode actually played a lot like it is part one.
Shakespeare.
Well, if Shakespeare was an idiot, yes. But it's played a lot like part one of a 2-part episode, which it is. But the pacing was drastically, terribly slow.
Was that a 2-part episode?
No,
Star Trek always tells me at the end of part 1. Where was Major Barrett at the end saying, end of part 1?
But if you watch other Trek 2-part episodes, not counting Voyager because that was really bad, usually it's still self-contained. I reckon the best sort of analogy for this is if you look at the last Harry Potter movies, that first Harry Potter movie 7, it really played like half of a movie. So you got to watch like all 9 hours of it to actually get the pacing and all that. It just played like they were just setting up the whole. And this just played like they were setting up all.
Look, I'll be the apologist on this one. They actually
just this one, huh?
Just this one.
Wait! I'm Nick pinching the chief.
It's what happened in Asgard. I'm
hitting my toe crystal.
They actually did play it as a single episode until right at the end where they gave.
I'm not sure.
where they tried to give a twist at the end. So basically, it was all done. They sent their signal and all the rest of it.
Twist?
That the Povos,
the Pavlichenko,
the
impoverished Povos basically sent the signal to invite them there rather than sending a signal to identify the birds of prey. So that little 1-minute twist at the end has extended this into the next episode. Otherwise, it was pretty self-contained up to that particular point in time.
But didn't what's his name, Chicken Legs? Didn't he tell us that this race existed, or from the point of their existence, they wanted to get in contact with the universe?
Oh, you'd think he's just lying through his teeth on that because he didn't want to leave.
It all came down to some people coming to their Christmas tree and plugging in.
Yeah, but that's what I'm assuming. Again, another one of those where you assume you don't off screen.
Now that they're plugged in their tape deck to the crystals, they can talk to the universe. And they can invite
talk to the animals.
Again, I think that they.
I think they had the capability to talk to anyone.
Yeah, but like I said, he lied throughout the whole episode. So I'm just thinking that he's lying about that as well.
I'm just
because he didn't want to go anywhere. So he's lying about that too.
I'm getting that once the Starfleet crew were down there on the planet and they actually, the planet gained a sense of what they were trying to do. The planet said, "Oh well, we're not going to fucking have this. We'll try and make friends with all of you."
So it's the planet, like the Na'vi.
Whatever. The planet Na'vi, whatever.
The whole planet's
the Povos.
Yeah. So that's what
Why were they on the planet?
Pizza. It was like pizza down there or something. It was actually a surprise they didn't send Tilly down because she goes on every away mission. But
she wasn't in this episode.
No, did she talk to Stamets about?
Yeah, she was talking.
She
was talking to Stamets.
It's about being bored or something.
Yeah.
About being captain.
I don't know how she feels.
Well, it's the best of their episodes. But by saying that, it's like judged on the curve where the previous episodes are rated. I don't know, fucking 1. This is rated like a 3.
Half was okay and half was terrible is the way I thought of it. The bit on the planet and all the stuff that happened there I thought was good for this series. And the bit with the Klingons, like every bit in this whole series with the Klingons, is just rubbish. It's
My
crap.
problem with the planet, though, is I actually like that exploratory sense of, like, we found something new, we're going to try and fuck with it and whatever, and then whatever comes of it. Okay, it's fine. That's pretty much the crux of any sci-fi, a good sci-fi, you know? Like, we go here, we find this, and then consequences. But this one, because it was just too tied into the Klingon war and all that sort of shit, it would have been actually good if they just... That was the whole episode. They just went down to this planet, they met an alien race, and it was like, bang. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but they got to have a reason to go down to the planet.
Why would you bring Star Trek into this discussion?
There's actually... There's
a sense of exploration, discovery, well...
But that's not what this episode's about. It's called Discovery. It's got nothing to do with Discovery.
It reminds me a lot of an early
fighting
Stargate episode where they went to a planet, I think they called it Nox, and there was aliens there, and they kept trying to sort of warn them about, you know, oh, there's a Goa'uld out there and all that sort of shit. And the Nox kept on, don't worry, don't stress. And like the humans were like, so, you know, they go, yeah, we're not stressed. There's a war going on. And Nox kept on, nah, we're not stressed. And in the end, the Nox just proved to be fucking all powerful.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And it was like, yeah, well, this is why we're not stressing. And you were really primitive to be stressing, so just get the fuck off our planet. Basically, that's all it came down. I think that's what this needed. It needed like that self-containment of, you know,
superiority.
Not just.
I think it gets to that. It's like get off.
Well, you could be right.
I mean,
I'm tipping you wrong, but you could be right.
And the original,
I live in hope, as we keep saying. It's what's the next?
The original series did this also, where they had the conflict between Kirk and I can't remember which Klingon core. I could be wrong. Stand to be corrected. But it was with the Organians, and there was they were on that planet, and there was like the townspeople, and Kirk kept trying to warn them, the Klingons are bad and all this sort of shit. And the people don't stress and all that sort of stuff. And at the end, the Organians revealed themselves to be like this all-powerful species, and they basically put an end to the Klingon-human hostilities, which is a bit of a cheat. But again, it had a sense of greater purpose than this. I'm guessing that, you know, come the next episode, it's just going to turn into, I don't know, not a reset, but it's just going to turn into...
Well, we're going to listen to the Klingons speak for half the episode and say
you can't have an end to the war in the next
just
episode, so it's just going to go into whatever shit...
Get the Klingons to speak bloody English, just fucking hell. It's fucking shady. Fucking just... Whoever's doing it, you're wasting everyone's time. You're wasting everyone's fucking time. No one wants to read it. No one wants to sit there and to coach.
You're not following the teaching of Kuma.
It adds absolutely nothing to this show.
It does add nothing. I disagree. It does add a lot of nothing.
It adds about 10 minutes.
Yeah. You've only got 41 minutes, but you got no time to go through this rubbish.
Yeah, I'm pretty much over the subtitles.
It's just first 10 minutes of the first episode, fine, but snap out of it.
Like
whoever's there, snap out of it.
It's like that screenwriter was saying that reviewed this is essentially you have the Klingons talk their native tongue, they're different. Yeah, we get that. Then they translate to English.
That's right,
and that's it. That's all we needed to know. They're an alien species now. Just fucking talk English.
And they've done that. They did that in Star Trek 6. They've
done it any TV
that's
show.
Right. You know,
introduces an alien.
But I mean, Star Trek 6 from memory, like, and did the Hunt for Red October pretense of, like, they spoke their foreign language, and they did a bit of a close up of the mouths, and then they just went to English.
Well, the best way of this, if you've seen that movie, The 13th Warrior.
Yeah, I have, but it's been a while.
Oh, they did that really well, because it was all gibberish, and then you understood a word here, a word there over a few minutes, and then more words, and then bang, it was all of it. So he picked up the language, and it was basically all in English.
But the Hunt for Red October did it really well, because when they first showed the Russians, played by Russian Sean Connery and Russian Sam Neill, like they were speaking in Russian, but then they did the close up of the mouths, and then they pulled back, and they were in English.
Yeah, and there's plenty of ways to do it.
Sean Connery still sounded Scottish.
Yeah. But then from that point on, they were English until the Americans boarded the ship or the submarine, and then they went back to Russian, and you immediately understood. It's just been a whole affectation where they're obviously speaking in whatever, you know, they're speaking in their own language, but now, again, you got that contrast. We get people actually speaking English, so we're putting them back in their own language. You don't need any explanation because it's all been set up. It's been done really well. You don't need to read subtitles for 2 hours of the movie. I understand why they do subtitles in something like Narcos, where
they stuck to their guns with Narcos, where you expect the Colombians, they're speaking their native tongue. And they kept that all the way through until the points where they needed to talk to English-speaking people. Then they broke into the broken English version of the language. That works fine.
Well, in Narcos, I think also it's really to play on the alienation that the American agent feels there too, because he is the outsider in this place, and he's trying to work within their law enforcement, deal with their criminals. So that language is a constant barrier, which is butting him in the face. And he's meant to be the protagonist. You know, he's meant to be the chaperone throughout this story, and it works really well. You don't get this here. We don't need all this Klingon because it's all self-contained. We don't need to feel any alienation. I mean, you've already alienated us by dressing them up as orcs. So we don't actually need to hear them speaking Klingon. It probably, honestly, wouldn't be so bad if their Klingon wasn't so boring. You know, I mean, the other thing with Narcos...
They've got no emotion in the Klingon, yeah. They just talk slow.
But the other thing with the Klingons, you notice, they never actually just have sort of a casual conversations. They're like, hey, how you been going? Yeah, went out last night, killed a couple of people. Yeah, what? It's just all war-oriented, or it's all hierarchy-oriented. It's like we're all battling for supremacy and dominance and position and all this sort of shit. Whereas in Narcos, there's a lot of great scenes where Escobar's like interacting with the family or playing with his kids, and it just sort of creates nuance and dimensionality to the characters where you think, okay, you know, I'm not even thinking about them speaking Spanish because this is just natural to them. Here, it's just the Klingons. It's always them jostling for something.
But the other thing
it's never someone going, oh shit, you know, you got a bit of a pimple on your face.
The other thing with something like Narcos too is you've got that ability to read the characters' faces when they're talking in the language.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not reading the context of the subtitle, or you can hear the anger in the voice, you can see the anger in the face, then you draw a conclusion.
Yeah.
With prosthetic faces, the mannequins, you can't fucking see anything. You can't read anything. There's nothing in the eyes, nothing in the mouth.
And there's no emotion in the voice.
No wrinkling of brows, furrowing of this. It's just a whole lump of plastic talking to you, and you go, oh, I don't understand. And there's no change in the tone in which they speak. It's that monotonous, dull drawl every single time, every interaction. Even though telling a Klingon joke. Chicken cross the road. You fucking been looking at it going,
they all speak exactly...
slaughter someone now?
They all speak in the exact same monotone, it's the exact
you
same
get nothing
speed.
out of any of them.
Nothing.
I'll just sort of backstep for another minute.
Hit the time crystal.
Yep. I'm sure it's going to be picked up again. Vok is on the other ship, the Shinzu. He's just been left there.
He was sent to the witch planet or something, wasn't he?
No, he was left on the Shinzu.
Yeah, no, she was.
She sent him to the. Yeah, okay, yep, you're right.
You were going to sacrifice everything and look like a human at the end.
All right.
That's your theory.
That's
your theory. Okay.
Well, it'll be good if someone looks like a human on this show, but it's what was that, like episode 4?
Yeah, it could have been.
Could have been. It's really early. It's a long way away to sort of plant something, and for us to actually hang around until it's going to get picked up again.
It's the Game of Thrones.
That's all right. You can ship him off in episode 4.
No, but the thing is,
now they're building up to the other guy.
Start a thread, abandon it for 3 episodes, come back to it, abandon it for another 3 episodes.
This is the thing. I actually think you look at it, you go, well, look, I don't know what his storyline's going to go to. It might be, as Spook suggests, they turn him human-faced or whatever, but it just seems a lot of unnecessary shit when in this particular storyline of the war, all you simply need is a bad guy to hate. That's all you need. You don't need all the politics. You don't need all the politics to Kurtzman. You don't need all the politics. You don't need all the...
Well, that's obviously what they did with this General Cole. They're trying to build him up as a useless bad guy that they try to make us hate, but he's just pointless. He's a nothing.
He's more of a prick to his fellow Klingons than he is to the humans.
But that's the thing, is all you needed was, where it was going to be Colin. Colin's probably the best of the Klingons. Just episode 1. I'm going to rally the Klingons to fight the Federation or Starfleet because, well, they're pricks and we're Klingons. That's all you needed. You don't need all this positional manoeuvring, all the bureaucracy and all that.
It's like Kirk and Chang in The Undiscovered Country. Fairly fucking clear who we love, who we have to hate.
But you had to love it. You have Chang. He had, he had presence. He had a personality that you could actually like.
I think we mentioned that in the previous review. If you look at Christopher Plummer, who played Chang, minimal prosthetics, Very minimal. He didn't want to wear them, and they gave him very minimal ridges. I think they were going to give him an eye patch, and he came up with the idea to have it bolted him, but very minimal. Totally against type of what we knew about the Klingons at that point. At that point, the Klingons we'd seen had been in Star Trek 3, played by Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, you'd almost be crossing over
Star Trek 1 and Next Gen.
Well.
And Next Gen. But they were all very, again, that's fine. They're aggressive and all that. He was very eloquent. He was a lot more...
He had presence.
Yeah, but he had presence by being totally un-Klingon-like, but still being Klingon. Whereas these are just un-Klingon-like, and they're not coming across as Klingon. You know? And there's a great scene in Star Trek 6, you know, where Chang and Kirk meet each other, and Chang just goes, "I've so wanted to meet you." And Kirk goes, "I don't know how to take that." And then the other Klingon just goes, "Oh, sincere admiration." You know, it's really played well between... I mean, Shatner gets a lot of bad press for his acting. I think he's actually a pretty good actor.
He's good.
And he really played that well.
Unless you go and see his live show.
But he played that well.
He's not so good there.
Yeah.
And Plummer played that well, and you get the hostility, you know, and it's all in very simple, you know, it's not like, "I'm going to kill you, I'm going to destroy you." It's just that very simple. "I've so wanted to meet you." Just as very
It was like
simple.
that whole dinner in that movie where they, you know...
Guess who's coming to dinner?
Yeah, they had that dinner and they're all just basically trying to be civil but just bagging each other.
But it's all like, you know...
between it all, you know?
It's
which
all
is great.
But it's all like not wanting, you know... it's all what's not said, you know. I remember in that movie... I'm pretty sure it was Chang said, "We need breathing room," and then Shatner goes, "Hitler, 1938 or whatever it was," and he draws that parallel. It's just done really well, and it's done without this overt hostility, this overt confrontational aggressiveness.
You're privy to the history, though, of all.
We've got the history and it's rubbish.
We
This is
know,
just rubbish.
But, in this case, you know Kirk hates.
Yeah.
Kirk hates the Klingons. Klingons hate Kirk. There's not much there that you
can't get around that.
Everybody knew it. Here, what do we know? That some boring Klingons are in a war that we don't see, and we're not.
The Russia, that's the issue.
Anything to do with it. We have no sense of loss, no sense of magnitude of this war. We see in the background a fucking screen with a dividing line between it to show there's some red Klingons over here and the blue Federation's over here. That's it. That's all we know. We have no sense of anything. So how do you buy into any of the relationships here?
But I mean, the other thing too is just going back to Star Trek 6 and even like Star Trek 2. I mean, it's not Klingons, but it's Kirk and Khan and all that. It's just a dialogue between them. If you knew nothing, you would pick up very quickly the where each was standing facing one another, where each of the characters, how they felt about one another and all this. And just again, it's all that, "I've got to tell you that I hate you because I'm going to kill you. We're going to destroy the Federation," and all that sort of shit. It's all just telling. It's like trying to prove the Klingons are tough by simply them talking tough. You don't actually really see them do anything major. You don't really see them... Yeah, I mean, a really good scene, 8 episodes in, we have not seen this. The closest they got to is when they attacked that dilithium processing plant on that planet, whatever it was, Cobden, whatever the hell it was. You know what would be good in this series, 8 episodes into a war? It would be good if we saw Klingons raid a Federation colonized planet, kill civilians. That would be, to me, shit. You got to stop these people.
It just made me think. Look, the opening minutes of yesterday's Enterprise, the Next Gen episode, where time changes, and all of a sudden, the Federation's losing against the Klingons in the war, and it's told in about 5 sentences about things are really fucked. We're really going to probably lose this. And that actually is all I need to know now. Now I understand what the gravity of the situation is. I get no sense of anything in this show.
They've just done it poorly.
And it's not difficult to actually portray that. Maybe in each episode you give an update on what the war is at. Have the fucking news media or something. Have some news broadcasts to say that we lost this frontier or this planet fell. Something to give some sense to the audience of what's going on. All we ever see is the interior of the Discovery and some political Klingons talk some shit.
Well, they did all right with the Discovery when they showed it turning the tide of war. In essence, they showed a couple of battles and it came in and came out. They did that very quick. They tried to do it in this episode where at the beginning where the ship got attacked.
It's one ship though.
Well, then they said there's 2 other ships, but they could have done a montage. They could have done a montage for about
We need a montage.
6 ships. Bang. The problem is these birds of prey are piss weak. They get hit by one shot and they die. But they could have shown 6 ships go down. Bang, 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 bang. And that would have been really quick. You could do that in half a minute. And then someone saying the cloaking devices of the Klingons now has turned the war. I don't know what's happening. We can't identify them anymore. What's going on?
But that cloaking devices thing, what you need and again, it's been done way too quick. The previous episode established the Discovery was the weapon that was turning the war. Why apparently Starfleet aren't reproducing this? I don't know why they're not replicating this technology. But then in this episode, it's like suddenly, okay, the Klingons have a cloaking device, and that's now giving them the favour. Again, show just children playing in the field. Show fucking a blur in the sky, and then Klingon ships materialise, and they start shooting, and kids are screaming. Show a burnt teddy bear, Kurtzman. Just show something that gives us a connection to...
Because correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't up until Next Gen era, it could even be post-that, the Klingons, when they were cloaked, couldn't fire.
Yeah.
So they're all they're doing is stealthing about up to the point they need to shoot someone. Then they reveal themselves. This surely in this area is, and that would work well, where you've got an armada or something that just pops around a planet, decloaks, shoots the fuck out of it, and pisses off. Yeah. Then you get some sense of, well, we're exposed because of this.
This is the new technology that's turning the war the other way.
The worst that's going to happen in the middle of that mini dogfight that we saw at the start is a vessel decloaked. Yeah. And really then it's at the mercy of every other ship now. It can't do anything. It's there. All it did was just sneak in the middle of a battle. It's no different than the Discovery coming into the battle.
Yeah, that's right. Whether it was a plane or whether it was a battle.
It's a balance thing.
6 just came in, bang.
It's not an advantage. Well, it's an advantage in terms of you can sneak up to the last minute, but before you can actually inflict any damage, you have to decloak.
But that's again like...
you get your position up. If you, like you said, if you can position up when you're cloaked, and then there's 10 ships there, and they just go bang onto another ship and then go again.
But that's what they're doing. But you go back to, like, okay, they're paranoid or vigilant about a cloak. You go to something like Star Trek 3 to Search of Spock, where, Chekhov saw a flicker. And Kirk was like, oh, what'd you see? And he goes, I thought I saw like a blur there. And, and immediately they're going, well, it's probably a cloaking device. You'd think they'd be starting to look for this sort of stuff. You think they'd be actually starting to try and develop counter technology. Let's detect how their cloaks are working. Let's set parameters for cloak. As Spook just said, you can't shoot until the cloak is down. If that's different in this universe, I don't know, because it's new technology and all that, but they haven't explored any of that.
Was there cloak ships in the original series?
Have they? Yeah, there was.
Was there?
It was Romulans and like, but no, but they actually had a situation like they were saying, oh, there's a Klingon. Oh, sorry, there's a situation, and okay, it might be cloaked, it might not be cloaked. We know it. We don't know. They haven't set the parameters for how exactly this technology where.
They haven't. That's what they haven't.
Yeah.
No, they haven't.
Yeah,
they tried to do a bit now in that battle, but they haven't really done much on it.
And that's what you need, because again, we need to know stakes. We don't need stakes, as you said before. They have like not a dogfight, a ship-to-ship battle. One Klingon takes one hit, they explode. Another Klingon takes a few hits, they're fine. They take a lot of hits, they're 32% shields. Another ship blows up. Cobden Free withstood 6 hours of barraging. You don't know what's going on.
The waiting is all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this is it. I mean, I didn't actually realise it was a mid-season break. I can only blame Kurtzman for that too. But we will be back to review...
I think it's early next year it starts up again.
Well, we've got to watch the last episode.
So for this, we'll be back to the movie reviews up next with Justice League.
Well, there'll be the end of this series next week, and then Justice League.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, I got that wrong.
There's one episode left.
I'll hit the time crystal. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time after we review next week's episode and then do Justice League.
Yep.
I don't know if that timeline makes sense. What this and Justice League have in common is I'm sure there's a lot of humans going to die. But that's a story for another time. Anyway, so that's it from us. I'm Sly.
I'm Spook.
I'm Chief.
And we'll see you next time.